Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB,
Macon, and WDDO 980 AM,
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett, Westbrook, and Mr. Dumas.
And good evening and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host. Happy you could join us today. President WESTBROOKS is out, but she'll be listening in to the show today. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a great time to enjoy this sunny weather we've been experiencing. We had an opportunity this weekend to attend a very important meeting. The 6 East Macon church partners were establishing Stop the Killing. And our special guest today will be joining us to talk about some of the things that we got a chance to discuss, and also how they're involved in helping curtail this violence that we're experiencing. And so I want to welcome to our show today a very special guest with Cure Violence, Mr. LJ. Mr. LJ, how are you, sir?
Outstanding, sir. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, doing great. Of course, you and I both got a chance to attend this wonderful meeting that was held at the New Pleasant Grove Baptist Church on Saturday. I think a lot of good information was shared, and that's why I brought you on the show. I thought that your group had some very good ideas that, if implemented, could possibly curtail a lot of the violence that we have. So if you would just introduce yourself to our listening audience and kind of tell them, what you guys are doing, and actually how can they help in the pursuit of what you guys are doing.
Definitely. For one, my name is LJ Malone. I'm a resident here of Macon, Georgia. I've been quite active for a while now myself, just in violence interruption, conflict resolution, getting involved in community organizing around the violence through my campaigns called Making Peace and Stop the Violence, Start the Music, which were local campaigns I've been pushing for over 10 years.
Wow.
Here over the past 3 months, I've been brought on to be the site supervisor for this organization. It's a worldwide organization, and it's called Cure Violence Global.
Wow.
And I've been doing this work for a long time, and I haven't seen a model quite like this, where violence is approached from a healthcare standpoint, where violence is looked at as a virus.
Wow.
And it's approached like a virus. So that's why it's called Cure Violence, because it's not, we're not going out to try to help, try to stop it or whatever. No, we're curing it.
Absolutely.
So it's, we identify the issue. We detect the issue, identify what's going on with it. Then we change the norm. So those are the 3 tenets of how we do that. But the main way that the program works is, you have violence interrupters and outreach workers who work with high-risk individuals. So we get right out in the trenches with them.
And that was the question, when we attended the meeting this weekend, a lot of the approaches were, kind of hands off, but your approach is going directly and meeting the people where they are.
Definitely.
And so that's quite interesting. Go ahead.
Yes. We deal with high-risk individuals mostly, too. So that would mean the guys that, I guess, the slang term would be the hitters, or the guys who's doing the shooting or whatever. We work with them one-on-one and in groups, but we're listening to their needs. We're engaging with them with where they are, because a lot of people don't realize what, from the outside looking in, you just see these stories. Oh, such and such just got killed, or such and such killed someone, but, a lot of times we're not looking at what the story is behind the person that just got killed, why they're doing it, right? And there are so many different factors that are playing into this violence. There are a lot of different factors.
Wow.
The parenting definitely, is one. Education, a major one. Spirituality, just a sense of hopelessness, is one. Illiteracy, definitely issues with with parent, with mother, or issues with fathers is a very, very big one, as far as them being able to be held accountable for
Wow.
situations. But more than anything, just having someone that can be consistent with you, someone that actually cares about you and that can connect certain issues that you're having, to solutions that can help you. So that's what we do more than anything. We provide services and wraparound resources to individuals. So if there's a young brother or sister that hasn't been able to get into school, we help them get into school. If they've been actively beefing with someone else, on the other side of town, whatever it is, we, use certain strategies or techniques to make sure that, we engage with them and whoever it is that they might be actively beefing with. So,
Wow.
excuse me, sometimes it might not take them becoming best friends and holding hands and us taking pictures, but win for us is that you agreeing not to shoot someone.
Absolutely.
You don't have to agree to be friends, or hey, we're gonna be together in the same room. What, as long as we can agree that we can not do something to one another. We've been able to do that a lot. In the area that we're focused on right now, which is the Pleasant Hill area. But that's what it works in. But a lot of other areas in Macon are really plagued with this violence issue.
Absolutely.
And and when you ask that question as far as how people can support us, just continue to support what we're doing in Pleasant Hill, as like our city officials are trying to get it so our model and our program can go to some of the other areas.
And you mentioned the fact that you guys are global.
Yes, sir.
We do know that across the United States, gun violence in particular is a major issue.
Right.
We see even I think over the weekend, there was a mall shooting that took place. We've heard about, the shooting in the schools and those types of things that take place. Now, what's your track record, or have you guys really kind of followed your progress as far as models that you've used in other areas, even outside of Macon? Or
Oh yes, it has a 30. True Violence is all over the world, right?
Wow.
It's the 8th largest non-governmental organization in the world, right? I didn't even know that until I started working with us, right? But we have sites in South Africa, sites in Peru, sites in Trinidad. There's sites all over the world, right? But yes, there's anywhere the Cure Violence model, has a site. It's been proven to have a 30% decrease in the violence.
Wow.
Right? Because we're data driven as well, so like we input data. We're constantly checking maps and we're dealing with data. So we're very, very data driven. It's not just, hey, we're just saying some stuff. It's a science to this.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And I think from the meeting this weekend, many of the pastors and some of the people in attendance were probably surprised, particularly with your age as far as, involvement, because a lot of times we don't have younger people who are involved and engaged in curtailing violence and things that are happening in their community. And so, being a young person that's involved in your community to help make a difference in the lives of the people, that speaks volumes, because as you recall from the meeting, we had a hard time getting the younger people to actually participate in the discussion.
Right.
Because as you mentioned during the meeting, a lot of times we have to listen to our younger folks and kind of see where the issues lie before we come up with a solution or before we suggest solutions. Because many times I understand that's a turnoff for a lot of young people.
Absolutely.
It's like they're being preached to.
Right. And a lot of, they don't want to hear that. And even with this training, it reminded me of something I heard a while ago. Where it was said that a real teacher doesn't give a student the answer. A true teacher points a student in the direction of the truth so they can find it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Right. And I see that so much, that lesson so much in what we're doing here, because, how they say everybody's born with a conscience, or, I say God lives in everyone. Everybody's got something special inside of them. That's so true. Every person has that will or has that conscience within them, where they know what's right and what's wrong.
Absolutely.
To a certain degree, it might be different degrees for different people, but everybody has that, and a lot of times, in a lot of training, they would just say, hey, stop coming and just giving advice.
Right.
Like a lot of times we feel like we got all the answers. Hey, well, this is an answer. Or just try Jesus, or try this, or try it, right? But how can Jesus save someone? How can this program that you have save someone? How can this job or this advice or whatever you have, how's this going to resonate with this person? Like,
right.
Do you know what they're going through? Like, is this something that they're even interested in, even care about? So that's the most important thing is just listening, seeing, because the number one thing that is driving a lot of this stuff right now is attention. A lot of these youth and people are seeking attention.
Wow.
And so, if they got someone finally that they feel like could possibly listen to them or what they're going through or whatever, and the first thing you're doing is saying, hey, well, you just need to do this, before you even hear them out. It's like, oh man, you just like everybody else, man. You didn't even take the time, man. Just hear me out, man. You don't even know, I was molested when I was younger, or I had a mother and father that dealt with drugs issues that that was never home, left me to take care of this or take care of that. Or I could have saw somebody get shot or killed, or somebody could have raised me to tell me that guns were good,
Right?
Or whatever. So there are a lot of stories. We'll be very surprised to learn, the influence, the negative influences that some of the youth have in their lives that's causing some of this behavior. And then if you have an outside person who hasn't even taken the time to understand what they've been up against, and you automatically just judging them, that's going to bring on the spirit of, okay, well, forget it then. I might as well be everything you want me to be then.
Right.
Since you think I'm a menace or whatever, well, I'll show you a menace or whatever. Because a lot of them, they're not scared to die. But the crazy thing is they're scared to live.
Wow. Now, you brought up a very interesting point. Many young people clam up. They close off when it comes to adults, either giving advice or seeking information from them. As an organization or as an individual approaching a lot of these youth, how do you get them to open up? What's one of the ways you guys get them to open up?
Well, first and foremost, most of the people that work with us, like our outreach workers and our violence interrupters, they're credible. They're credible people in the community, right?
Wow.
So people know them as being people that might have been formerly in the streets or what have you, or people have reputations in the streets as being respectable, but they've changed their lives or good influences.
Wow.
So that's the biggest thing is credibility. People know that you understand what they're coming from, or if you've been where they came from. So, like I said, I'm the site supervisor. Pastor Dominic Johnson of the Kingdom Life Church, he's the program director. But we have 4 awesome people that work. Well, I'm sorry, 5 awesome people that work with us. Like for one, is I don't know if you know Jerry Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a violence interrupter. He was a big kingpin here in Macon. Got out of jail. He just came out wanting to change others' lives. So he's been very instrumental. Talking to a lot of these young guys. Sherman Kine, who's also a young brother's been in the streets. A lot of people respect him. Arion Smith, he's from Pleasant Hill. He ran a young brother who ran for commissioner. Does a lot in the community. Courtney H. She was a young sister who had experienced some trouble, in life about 15 years ago. Did some time and got out and has been doing amazing things. So it's stuff like that, and our model is really set up like that. Most of my supervisors, National for Cure Violence, they're former BD gangster disciple, BD gang members who a couple of them have done over 20 years in prison. They've gotten out, and one brother has a master's degree, the other brother has a doctorate.
Wow.
They're incredible. These are incredible brothers and sisters, and they show the power of change.
Absolutely.
And so many times, especially as Black folks, you look at it like, oh, we're just already set for destruction, or we're just, you're giving up on us before you even give us the opportunity, But this program really shows the power of change, as long as you approach people with love and you're engaged.
Absolutely. And one of the things I've always said is we have to allow people to change. Many times, if a person starts out on a bad foot, we leave them in that area, no matter how much progress they're trying to make on their own to turn from that. We have to be able to allow, that change.
Right.
Right here, I would like to just applaud our audience for listening today. And of course, if you've been affected by violence in any means, we'd love to hear from you. So give us a call here at the station at 478-250-1444. Once again, if you have any questions or concerns, give us a call at 478-250-1444. And we'd love to hear from you. And also, you saying you're starting here in the Pleasant Hill area, and this particular area. What's the response been here in this area? Have many of the people, the leaders in this area, embrace what you're doing?
Oh yeah, we're getting a whole lot of support. get support, of course, from Pleasant Hill Neighborhood Association, the Booker T. Washington Community Center. We're doing a lot there. Macon Bibb County Community Enhancement Authority, Alex Williams, the
Wow.
local elementary school, a lot of the local businesses and stuff there. But of course, just the people in the community. We're in a couple of little places that people know about, like the Bucket, in
Right.
Pleasant Hill and the different places that people are just becoming to see us as part of the community now. Because we're out every single day,
Wow.
in the community. We're on the weekends as well. And yeah, we people just they love it. And that's why a lot of people that see what we're doing over in Pleasant Hill, like they're really hoping that we can have the same setup in all over Macon. Because we should. This is a program that was brought on by the Macon Violence Prevention Program.
Wow.
Right. So it's a part of that. Right. So there are other programs going on around here, in the city, and this was just one particular program that got funded, but it only got funded for a site in Pleasant Hill. Right. So the way that it's set up is set up for you to have sites that that are in these particular communities with people, out and being active every day from that home base in that community. So we have to have the funding to be able to do it in these other areas. So I said, if you really want to support this, we need to just push to try to find a way to get more funding, or just whatever it is, push our elected officials or different people to push for this model to be in other areas.
And if a person wants to donate, to your cause, how do they go about doing that?
Well, you can go to Cure Violence. The best thing to do is to contact this number. I'm sorry, because it has to be cureviolencemaking@gmail.com. I'm sorry.
Oh,
cureviolencemaking@gmail.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And so I just find it, just fascinating that you guys have gotten involved in the level that you have, because this is a community-wide problem that we're experiencing. And just like some of the things that were said this weekend, I believe the entire community needs to come together and get behind you guys, because you have the experience of being out there, seeing what's happening, boots on the ground, so to
Right.
speak. I believe a lot of the groups now are just trying to put together an idea
Right.
of how to approach it, and you guys have already done the groundwork, and so you would be the model that a lot of these groups should have to follow to get the type of results that you guys are getting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think Cure Violence Global is definitely a great model. Like I said, I've been doing this work for a long time myself. So I've been out here in the trenches. And I will say this, because I said this too, also at that particular meeting, because this is not necessarily part of our model of Cure Violence, but it's something that's they tell us to definitely mention, or whatever technique we think is important. But something that I say all the time, I think is the most important solution. And Dr. Duval as well is a local hero here.
Absolutely.
This. But he always talks about our history and our culture, right?
Right.
And not to say not have a frustrated moment, but I'm going to have to say it, like, out of frustration. When I go to these forums, when we go to these different things, right? And if we ever at a space where we don't hear culture and our history as being brought to the forefront, we're doing ourselves a disservice. We have got to be able to understand how important our history and our culture is when it comes to everything in general. When it comes to a person's self-identity,
Right.
People that are fighting with, because suicide is a big issue here too.
Absolutely.
And there are a lot of people that are killing other folks that at a point where they really don't care about themselves either. So mental illness, that self-identity portion is important. Our environments, environmental justice is important. There are a lot of landmarks and cultural institutions. There's a lot of things that are being funding that's been had, dealing with redlining, gentrification, home ownership.
Absolutely.
Our history is being used against us in a lot of
Correct.
cases, because I've had to go into certain spaces like planning zone here locally, to put some of this stuff on blast, because our environment also plays a big part into this, because just as we have to be responsible as a community, for us, hey, what we're not doing and what we could be doing better, there are also outside factors and forces that play a part into this as well, and we have to be able to address these things, with data and with facts, and not just, saying stuff
some
to
things,
say it,
right.
but to actually have some real solutions get put in place.
Because a real key point that came out in the meeting, I don't know if it was your group or one of the ministers that brought up the fact that, most human beings want shelter, food, housing, clothing. Those types of things are important to every individual. And so when a person is lacking some of those things, those fundamental things, it causes an individual not to react the way we would want them to, or to be able to function, in a normal way. And so I think a lot of times we belittle individuals. We don't look at people having the very same needs that we have every day. And so we start to exclude people. And so that exclusion sometimes causes people to become defensive, in that they feel they don't matter as much as other people. And so
Right. And I think, it's twofold with me because, I don't know, a lot of people don't know it, but I went to school to be a pastor like 20 years ago, right? And but I'm right now I'm a cultural historian and curator. I studied a lot of ancient African spirituality, right? And Christianity is an ancient African spiritual system. And one of the things to talk about to a point, one of the main things that I discovered from studying ancient African spirituality is in that there's no separation between spirit and physical, right? They're looked at as two separate aspects of the same substance. So you find a connection in everything. There actually is nothing that's separated. Everything is actually just a different aspect of the same thing. So even like when it says in the Bible, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. When I look at everything in spirit rather than just the outside, the physical or whatever it is, I can value the essence of who you are or what is. So functioning is everything, when it comes to how we approach the work, how I definitely approach the work. Like, how does it function?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so when we talk about connection, like that's everything. Like it's okay to have some knowledge and information, but if you can't connect it to someone or something, or if it's not going to resonate with someone,
then it's in vain.
Right. So just like when you talk about food, clothing, and shelter, it reminds me of Dr. Rashad Ritchie. I look at this show all the time, but he said something real simple. He said, Jesus stopped preaching to feed the people.
That's right. You gotta meet their need first.
Right.
That need has to be met first.
Right.
And I think this resonates over into our school system, which was mentioned Saturday. How a lot of children come to school hungry, and they can't function, in that capacity until that need is met. Until they, their belly's filled and you can get their attention. But until that need is met, then it's hard to get them to learn anything. So that plays a big role.
Yeah. What do they say? Survival mode or thriving? Yeah. So
absolutely.
A lot of our folks are definitely in survival mode, and like right here in Macon, we have an over 40% poverty rate here.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Over 40% of our children are growing up in below the poverty line.
And that speaks volumes.
That's a lot. That's 3 times the rate of the average city in Georgia. Like that's the highest rate in Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's incredibly high. So for especially the past 5 years, I've been talking about our history of gentrification and redlining, because people don't. Macon is the most redlined and gentrified city in the history of the United States of America. We rank number 1.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of these things haven't been addressed historically. So we have a lot of old issues
that haven't been resolved.
Never. We keep trying to build on top of these issues without getting into the root of why we keep having them, So I would say that's just the main thing with me as a younger person who's kind of been in the middle a little bit, because, I'm 41. So, I work in the music industry a lot too, so I've been on the open mic here for like over the past 13 years, working with a lot of the youth, stuff like that. But I work with government community, so I work with a lot of different generations, right? But the biggest thing that I see here locally is just people having a respect for why things happen before them. So like even when people say that young folks were not respecting their elders or don't respect, like if you're not teaching about culture or your history of what we came from,
they're not gonna know the respect.
Yeah,
they're not gonna know that there was someone who paid a greater price than you're probably paying at this moment.
Right.
And so I know with Dr. Duval, a good friend of mine, that's a big part of what he talks about, these young people knowing their local history, not even so much the national history, but just local history, people within their community that look like them, that have made a difference in their community.
Absolutely. And even local, there's a lot of funding right now, just to make it plain. There's even a lot of funding in place when you know your history.
Absolutely.
There's a term called cultural currency that is really being used to acquire funding right now, right? I'm going to give you an example. There's $20 million that was already allocated for 3 black neighborhoods, predominantly black neighborhoods, specifically for black people. What happened, when they drove the interstates through the black neighborhoods? Right. So it's already here, but black folks don't know anything about it.
Right.
So you had other persuasions of people who do. They've already started trying to apply for this money that was meant to correct the wrong made for our folks. A lot of people just didn't even know existed.
It existed. And it's, knowledge, our people perish for the lack of knowledge. And knowledge is key. Knowing information, attending commissioners' meetings, kind of knowing what's going on in your community.
Yes, sir.
So that you can have a better understanding of the things that are either lacking or the things that need to be done.
That's right.
And we've definitely got to get on top of that.
Yes, sir.
But I certainly appreciate you coming in today. I think that you guys are doing a wonderful job in what you're doing. I do hope that others will join the initiative to help you guys reach the type of goals you're trying to reach, because violence affects all of us, no matter where we live, whether it's Pleasant Hill, East Macon, South Macon, or wherever. Violence is plaguing this community. And anyone who's taking steps or taking measures to alleviate that, we definitely applaud them.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. And if you just see us out, if you want to get involved, if there's anyone that just wants to volunteer, we do a lot of events. Matter of fact, we have a Stop the Violence Forum that's coming up August the 21st. Just check out our page on Facebook, Cure Violence Making on Facebook.
Okay.
And you can follow some of the events and stuff that we're doing locally. But we also support other people's
events as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, and we're also doing a couple of back to school giveaways. We're giving away stuff for school supplies and stuff like that for kids.
Absolutely.
So just follow us for that as well.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming on. We hope our listening audience has enjoyed the information and has taken the opportunity to better understand our youth in our community before we put them all in one box, that we can individually make those assessments to make the better choices to curtail violence in our community.
Yes, sir. And can I just say shout out to you. Thank you so much. I mean, you have the type of energy that you brought to me is what, I try to bring to a lot of the other youth.
Absolutely.
You see a younger brother trying to do something, you see something that's going on in the community that the other, the rest of the community needs to know about. You didn't ask no questions. It wasn't about any money or nothing. It was just about pure love and energy. So
absolutely,
that's why I made it my business to make sure that I came here for you, sir. So I appreciate you for what you're doing.
Well, I certainly appreciate you coming in. So until next week, we hope you'll join us next week, and we hope you have a safe weekend. I'm signing off. Willie Dumas, your host, NAACP Truth Show. We'll see you next week.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.